Elevate your hatching egg shipping business with Beyond the Egg. Discover the art of premium packaging, master the details of shipping, and create an unforgettable experience for your customers. Enhance your reputation, build lasting trust, and set your business apart as the gold standard. Visit BeyondTheEgg.com to begin your journey to excellence.
Hi. We're doing this today because we are going to talk about shipping and handling and a whole lot of other stuff that goes along with birds. And a lot of times we tell you stuff and we're descriptive. A lot of this you really need to see.
Yeah. So we're going to expand a little bit on how to select a breeder and the questions that you want to ask. And I've created a checklist that you're going to find on the website. You can download. We're going to go through that today. And questions you can ask and how the breeder may respond. Some of the questions the breeder may respond nicely. Some they won't answer you at all. And there's reasons for that. And we're going to go through those today.
Yep.
But right now we are in the egg foam warehouse. And yep, there we go.
We see all the peanuts that you can eat.
Yep.
They're made out of molasses, tons of egg foam, everything she's got available, including the live super boxes.
So, you want to start with eggs?
We can.
So obviously, I prefer foam. A lot of people will tell you that you can use pipe wrap or pool noodle, and I've done it. I'm not going to say I didn't. When I first started, I didn't know this stuff existed. But now that I know better, I would not do that, and I wouldn't recommend it, because when you're handling the egg and you're forcing it into that cut piece of foam, and then you're wrapping it individually, and then you're putting it in the box, that is all time for the embryo to get damaged. So I think that extra amount of handling is unnecessary. So egg foam sits in the box. You put it in the box, put the egg in it, put the top on it, put it in the box, and you ship it. There's no extra jiggling of it. Keeps it nice and secure. And if you double box it, then you get extra impact
resistance. Yeah, you can use the peanuts or on the egg foam when you pull these little pieces out. You gotta have something to do with them. So when you double box, just stick it in there, and it adds to the packaging.
And the foam comes in. You make the foam yourself. You can buy it. Personally, I don't think that you can make it any cheaper than I can sell it to you, but that's for you guys. But it comes in all these different sizes for quail eggs, button eggs, duck eggs, chicken eggs, bantam eggs, all the different sizes. They fit the boxes. I don't know. I get excellent hatch rates from my shipped eggs, and I just think I'm so committed to it that I've made a business out of it.
And like when you use the foam, we all know that the post office, they're going to do what they're going to do. There's no way around it. You can put all the fragile stickers on there, the live embryo stickers you want, and sometimes it looks like they've been playing soccer with it. So you can only control what you can do, so the less you handle it, the better the chances are. Also, the foam acts as an insulator, so when the weather is catawampus, that's a good word, it helps to where the temperature shift is slower, and that makes your hatchability better.
So I don't necessarily want this to be a commercial for egg foam, but it is a question for you to ask the breeder. How do they package? Then you have all of the information and you make the decision for yourself. So that's it. Now, live shipping of birds, which I do every week. I do hundreds of them. So I'm pretty good at it. What you do need is an approved USPS box and a box with holes jammed in it with a pair of scissors does not count.
Nope.
Chicks also have to be shipped express. Some people will tell you that you can ship them priority. That is not a true statement. I do believe the hatcheries might have contracts to be able to ship them cheaper. But for us plain folk, we have to use express shipping. They won't accept them at the post office without it. So these boxes have air holes, right? So you can see the air holes and vents, okay? And more air holes on this side. Now, birds need ventilation. We harp on that on other podcasts. This particular shipping box has biofilm, is what that's called, glued in there. And that prevents the bird from sticking their head out of the holes and having it knocked off in transit. For lack of anything better to say. Now, I have seen some people going through some extreme measures and putting all kinds of different things on the inside of the box. Personally, I think there is a point of overkill, but I do think it's better to be prepared. Usually, David and I have big conversations about being overkill, but I think in this case, overkill is better. I hot glued Dixie cups in here, and then I put grow gel in the Dixie cups. I put sawdust shavings in the bottom, and they get feed. That's all I do. I've been having good success with that, so until it doesn't work anymore, I see no reason to change it. But some people put fruit and different things in there. I can go either way on that, because if the bird isn't accustomed to eating fruit, then it could upset their GI tract, and that become a nutrition question for him.
Yeah, on that, if you're going to ship a bird express and it's going to get there tomorrow, I think that bird's going to be fine. But a lot of times where you see the fruit come into play, there's a lot of game fowl people will ship birds overseas for whatever reasons. And for that, having apples and stuff in there is good for not only nutrition, but for hydration, because it's there. You don't just let the first time that bird has had an apple be when you put them in the box. That's something you need to get them accustomed to. And a lot of breeders do feed fruit from time to time, so that helps. But don't let the day you cram a bird in a box be the first time it gets grow gel, whatever food you're putting in there, anything. Don't do that at first.
And then this is just a chick box. It folds down, and you can get different varieties of chick boxes. You want a size appropriate box because their body heat is trapped in there. And if you're shipping chicks, you want their body heat contained in there. So this particular box, they don't pop the circles off, and I do it myself. So in July, I'll pop them all off. In January, I'll usually only pop these top ones off, and I'll put a heat pack in there. So the breeder needs to understand seasonal shipping and have size appropriate boxes. This box would be for sending like full-size chickens. I can, believe it or not, I can fit a full-size Cochin or Orpington in there. They do lay down, and they're in there squeeze. There's a lot of body heat. You got to be prepared and ship them in the wintertime when that happens. But I also ship adult quail in this size box. This one is more for chicks of chicken and quail. So size appropriate boxes is also important. And if you've noticed when I have folded this down, see how it creates that gap right there? That's important. This box does the same thing. So what happens is when it's on a pallet in the airplane and in that put the boxes together like this, you still get some airflow right here. And that's what this is for, if you've ever wondered. So it doesn't just fold into a flat, perfect square box, because then you wouldn't get airflow when they're butted up against each other like that.
That's why you include zip ties in the boxes to use, so they can use them in the holes instead of putting a big old piece of tape on there.
Exactly. So if you wanted to see this one, when you fold it down, how it folds in right there, you can see that.
Oh, yeah.
And so that allows airflow in there also. That's the reason why these boxes have those shapes that they do. All right, I think that should answer all of your questions on shipping eggs and birds. On to the next one. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how do you select a breed or even a bird for your situation. And all the ducks are coming to help us do it on this one too. We have tried to outrun them. It's not working. So let's just start with ducks. A lot of people are allergic to chicken eggs, and duck eggs are a valid alternative to a lot of people. These particular ducks are Welsh Harlequins. They cannot fly. They're talky. They are prolific layers. They lay, 280 eggs a year or something, an astronomical amount of eggs. I don't even pick them all up because there's so many eggs. They're pretty docile. They follow you around like puppy dogs.
Yep.
Ducks may be a good fit for you. They also are fantastic mosquito control. We have 0 mosquitoes out here. You consider ducks. Chickens, it depends on what you want them for. If you just want something for eggs, then you're going to want a production breed, something from a hatchery. They're going to be bred for production. That's a genetic trait. So an Orpington from a hatchery, Rhode Island Red from a hatchery, a Leghorn, or if you're in the South, it's a Leghorn, or any of the fun things like Easter eggers, olive eggers, the Mystic Moran.
They have even the Isa Browns or the Highlines. You can get some of the commercial type layers from hatcheries. Those are prolific egg layers. And when people ask, how do I need to set up my chicken pen or whatever, the biggest thing you've got to consider first is, why do you want the chicken? Because why you want the chicken helps you figure out what chicken you want, and that's what type of housing. But it depends, because if you want turkeys like these over here, you're going to need a lot bigger housing. And if you want bantams, then you need smaller housing.
Right.
So for me, the hardest thing for me was figuring out what my goals were, because I just like chicken and turkeys and quail. My goal was to keep them alive. I just like them and wanted to have them around. It all depends on what you want to do.
Now, if you want to show or you want high quality birds, the size of those birds, which are called standard breds, when you breed for that size, you have to give up other genetic traits. And one of those is egg laying. So my standard bred Orpingtons may lay 4 eggs a week for 4 months, and that's it. They're not prolific layers because they're massive birds. People don't understand that until they probably get here most of the time. My arm's getting tired. So if you want to show birds, you're going to be looking for standard bred birds. If you want eggs, you're looking for utility hatchery bred type birds, more fun colors even. And if you're in the turkey market and you want turkeys that will reproduce, you want heritage breed, which is what we have. Both of us have the red bourbons. They lay eggs, they reproduce, and they taste fantastic. But you do have to feed them all year long. They're seasonal layers. Mine only lay March to May, maybe, and you have to feed them the rest of the year. So there's that. But you could get a meat bird and be done with them in 16 weeks. So that would be your broad-breasted white, broad-breasted bronze. Everything else should be considered heritage. Let's see. Okay, and then the breasts. The reason why we selected the breasts was because they're very fast to grow. You can harvest them as young as 17 weeks at full size, and they lay eggs probably as well as a leghorn, I would say. They just shoot them things out.
If all the conditions are right, when they're not stressed or anything like that, and they're getting plenty of daylight, 5 a week from one of them is not uncommon.
Starting at 20 weeks? Yeah, they're little for the first 2 or 3 weeks, but man, once they get full size, they're talking 55, 60 gram eggs. They're good size eggs. We eat our birds, and so the breast is a really good choice for us. It's dual purpose meat and eggs. You have to know what you want before you go shopping. Otherwise, you will impulse buy and get stuck with birds that you really don't want.
You'll wind up with a couple hundred birds and you won't be in love with any of them. You'll despise your feed bill and you'll just be miserable.
Yep. All right, on to the next one. So we're sitting in the barn. So breeding practices is the first one, right? So we're in the quail barn. Breeding starts with feed.
Got a little bit over there?
Got a little bit. Looking at what, about 5,000 pounds total right now?
Probably.
So each species has its own requirements. That would be questions for this guy. And he delivers. And then I feed it. And then the fertility rate is pretty much a direct answer to those nutrition.
A lot of it's the vitamin.
Yeah.
And I had somebody send me a feed tag this morning, and they said, hey, what would I do to this feed to make it a complete feed? And I looked at it, I said, to be honest, I don't know, because in the ingredients, they list these different vitamins, A, D, and E, but they don't tell you how much is in there. So I don't know what you need to add. I tell you where to start and see what happens, but unless you actually have a feed tag that's got all the information on it, it's a shot in the dark.
We'll be right back.
Looking to rock some seriously comfy gear? If you love chickens and you're all about that fun style, then Chicken Box has got the perfect t-shirts for you. From quirky designs to classic looks, their shirts are as comfy as us chicken tenders deserve. They even have a subscription service so your coop doesn't get bored. Head over to PoultryNerdsPodcast.com and click on Chicken Box to get your comfy shirts and support the podcast.
Okay, we're back again. David, come over to talk to us. Okay, so if you'll notice the light right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so a bird has to have at least 14 hours of light to lay, and we're in the quail barn. So my quail are lit every day, roughly 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. I don't change it. They do not understand daylight savings time. They're on the same time all year round. Okay, whatever the timer is. Sometimes it's 5 to 9, sometimes it's 6 to 10, whatever.
So have you ever been out with you right after daylight savings and it cut off on you?
I was, the other night, like just this week.
Well, that happened to me too.
I was like, crap. So the garage door light was on because I was moving around in here. So that was enough light for me to see to get out. But yeah, I am not one of those breeders that comes out there and sorts birds until midnight. I don't do that. I don't care. I can't see the difference between Fee and Pharaoh in the middle of the night when it's half lit in here. So I don't do that. Okay, so back to how breeders should be able to answer your questions. So I know my fertility because my nutrition is good. My birds have the appropriate amount of light. They have the appropriate amount of space for their species. And I have the proper ratios. And I hatch weekly to test my own fertility and to make sure that there's not any problems. So that is what I would answer if you were to ask me, what do I do for fertility? And all the quail are going to start talking because we're talking.
Of course. Another question you should ask is, how long has it been working with that line? You know, if they say they've been working with that line for 5 minutes, you might want to keep shopping for a breeder. If they've been working with their birds for a couple of years, you may want to continue the conversation.
Right. So there's a lot of people out there that buy chicks from hatchery and get them to the point of lay and then sell hatching eggs. So you're literally buying hatching eggs off of hatchery birds that aren't very old. And that leads me to another thing. You don't want pullet eggs. You want full-size eggs. So make sure you're asking for full-size eggs, not pullet eggs. And if the breeder doesn't know the difference, you can either
hang up the phone and find another one.
Yep. Or ask them what gram the egg is. They should be able to tell you how big their hatching eggs are. Okay. I couldn't tell you on my Orpington eggs, but I don't sell those a lot, but I would guess them around 40, 45. but I know that my breast eggs are 55 tip C, and that is just something that a breeder should know. Okay. All right. What's next?
You should also ask the breeders what traits do they select for with breeding program, whether it be size, color, fertility, temperament. That's a really big one, or production, because a lot of times they, where do you separate your quail, or what kind of ratio do you have your quail? Mine seem to be 86 in further, and mine don't do that. I can, in a 36-inch wide cage, I could put 25 of them in there, or I could put 6 or 8 of them in there, and they're not killing each other. Now, if I put 25 of them in there, I mean, change that poop tray like twice a day, but they're not going to go nuts and kill each other. But that's because they've been bred that way. If I'm like doing my chores and I find a bird that is being mean to the other bird, it ends very shortly for that bird, and the other animals like the treat. That makes you out what they breed for, because you don't want to graze a bird. That's one of the things they should be looking for. If you want quail that give you 300 eggs a year, then ask that question. If you call me and said, hey, I want to get some Rhode Island Red, okay, I got some raven. This is what they are. Don't call me 6-8 months down the road and say that they lay horrible eggs, because they're standard breds. So they only lay 3 or 4 a week. I'm sorry. That's the way it is. You didn't ask for production. You asked for the best quality you could get. So that's why you need to ask for questions, because you don't want to be disappointed when yours start laying or whatever it is you want them for. Could ask them about their hatch rate and ask them how often they hatch. Because if they don't answer that question right away, whether it's every week or every month, they hatch their own just for them to see what it is, then they don't really know what it is. They're just giving you a number if they have to think about it. Because unless you catch me at 2 o'clock in the morning and ask me, I'm going to say every week. Okay. Most breeders are, especially with quail, they're hatching every week. Now, with chickens, this time of year, I don't do that every week because they're not laying a whole lot. But when I do it, I'm doing it for me, and I'm keeping up with those numbers.
Yeah, we're not selling chicken eggs right now.
No.
Neither one of us. If you're off season, like if you're looking for turkey eggs in September, you shouldn't find any. If you find some, if they're not near the south, in the equator area, then you probably are getting scammed.
If they're in Alabama or Florida or Texas and they light their turkey, it's possible. Otherwise, don't buy them. Are there any known genetic traits or mutations in the birds?
So every breeder, okay, let's go backwards for 1 second. There's a difference between a breeder and a reproducer. Not necessarily saying one is better than the other one. A reproducer doesn't select and just reproduces. A hatchery, somebody who's churning out quantity, it is what it is. We're not calling people reproducers to be derogatory.
Yeah, I do know some people that produce a lot, but they've also spent a really long time really selecting hard, and 95% of what they hatch out is a great bird. But again, if they ain't been working in it for 5 or 10 years, that's not going to be the case.
So a breeder puts 2 birds together for a specific purpose. Is the answer. Every breeder has things about their birds that they're not happy about. So I can tell you, the turkeys, I would like them to be just a little bit, the hens to be just a little bit darker, and I am working on breeding bearded hens. Okay. The ducks, I still get the wrong color bill on some of my hens, so I'm working to breed that out. The Orpingtons, those are for show. That's different. So there's a lot of traits there. Working on the length of back, the uniformity of color, the depth of the buff color. There's all kinds of different things. the quail always working on size and temperament. You're fighting nature with the temperament thing because they're a prey animal. And so they're flighty. And so that's their instinct is to be flighty. So just selecting for temperament is always going against nature. And so what I basically do is if I am moving birds from the grow out to a layer cage and the bird just fights me incessantly, just won't cooperate in being moved or being sexed or whatever, it just goes in the cold pan. If it's not worth it. I've hatched so many that that one's expendable because I can't get past its temperament to even sex it to decide if I want to keep it. Yeah. So it's just out right there.
For me, if I'm doing my job and you try to fight me, you're turning your food. You're going in the cold bin.
So I've got some grow out breasts over here that are about 6 weeks old, and every day, twice a day, I reach in there to change their water. I always clean their waters and change it out. And he attacks my hand like he is like a kitten, like pouncing on my hand, and he bites. Guess what? He ain't gonna have no breeder pen. He's done for already. He has made his decision. I'm raising the breasts with the Orpingtons. The Orpingtons are so docile that I'm hoping that rubs off on them. Yeah. They are flightier, but they're smaller. They can fly. The Orpingtons can't. So there's some differences there. Physical traits that you have to take into account for. So the breeders should be able to tell you, hey, these are some things I don't like about my line. I need you to be aware of that. So you can make the decision if that works for your farm.
Let's see. Oh, my favorite.
Okay.
What medications do you?
God, I need this question.
None. I said a lot. And I'm like, I got some garlic, some oregano. It does amazing stuff.
Yep.
But no, because the whole reason I don't want store-bought chicken is because I know what they pump into those birds. And if I'm going to consume it, I don't want it to have that.
Right.
And I need it to have the vigor and the tenacity to not fall over dead. And that's another thing that, like with the quail, if a lot of them seem like they just want to die every since you take them out of the hatcher. And if one of them starts to act like a goofball, you're out. Because I don't want that. I don't need it. And some people will say, oh, this brutal, you should do this and we should do that. Not really, because a lot of the stuff that they have is not curable. The medications just put a Band-Aid on it. So it's something they're going to have to deal with forever.
So when I first started breeding Sirius, there's another podcast, and he doesn't medicate either. And he said it would be hard the first year. Then after that, you'll do better. And I trusted him because he's done it for 30 years, Kenny. And so I did it. And guess what? I haven't had any trouble since. I don't medicate anything because you want the birds to be able to stand on their own 2 feet.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to get off that soapbox because that's not what today's podcast is about. So the question you ask is, what medications do you use? And the answer is for your informational purposes only, okay?
Yeah, it's your personal preference.
But be aware that a breeder culls hard, okay? Just like I said about the temperament, if I can't even sex you, you can't go into a breeder cage. Okay. And if you're sickly and I have to medicate you to keep you alive to breed you, those genetics are the ones that you're buying.
Yeah.
Okay. If you are buying from me or him, then it's the strongest genetics. So the people on Facebook can be mad that we're what he calls ruthless, but those are the genetics that you want to buy. You don't want to buy birds that you have to give cord to upon arrival. I saw that on Facebook the other day, and she actually tells people to give them cord upon arrival. Yeah, I had the same look. Okay.
See, I don't.
Yeah, we'll just leave that one there.
Nope, you want that one. So here's some questions, some other questions you need to think about while you're buying. Do you have enough space, housing, and equipment for these birds? Because if you've decided after you've done all your homework, you want orpedes, you need to know they're going to be 2 feet tall or taller. They're going to be 7 to 9 pounds
That's standard.
for standards,
Yeah.
and they're going to eat a lot.
Yeah.
If you, let's say you want to get indigo gigantes because they're like the new thing now, you need to know them suckers are going to be 3 to 4 feet tall.
The giraffes.
They don't like to be housed in anything small. And their breeding, you need to do individual pair mating with them because they're very territorial on that. So once you figure out what breed, you need to think about space and housing and equipment because, you know, when you say you want a layer and somebody says well, it's $40, you're like, do you have sticker shock? That breeder, if they're doing it right, they spent thousands just to house that bird and keep it safe. I have a limit coots. Jennifer has a limit coots. A lot of people have them. They're not cheap, but they're extremely durable and nothing's getting in them.
Huge statement.
They even have kits for them that will keep bears and stuff out. So those are things to think about. Handling potential losses and poor hatch rates from shift eggs. What kind of reaction are you going to have if you walk outside and some predator has killed your favorite chicken and not been nice about it? That's things to think about because that's natural part of having chickens because everybody likes chickens, including dogs, possums, raccoons, anything you can think about.
Yeah, but I think it's talking about shipping.
Shipping.
We're talking about shipping.
Shipping. That was in this section right here. Your goals of capacity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was reading the notes. Also, when you think about when you get your birds and you start hatching, you need to be careful of the chirp. That little chirping sound from the hatcher. Everybody loves that sound. It's adorable. But you got to be careful of it because, like kids, you got to feed them, you got to house them, and they're not going to be T90 all their life. So when you throw 150 eggs in your brand new incubator because you want to try it out, you got to be prepared for them all hatching. Because you'll be like me. And you'll do your first really big test hatch of the season because everything started to lay and you got these and they're all in there marked and you put them in their individual baskets of the little sock thingies to keep everything separate so you know what was what. And then 98% of them hatch.
So somebody likes to collect all the different kinds of birds. Somebody, me, is focused.
I like birds.
Yes, we all like them. Obviously, we're listening to them. Okay, so we're going to wrap this up now because my arm's really tired of holding this camera up. So we're going to put this worksheet up on the website and you can answer the questions for yourself. And then you can use it, print it off. So when you talk to different breeders.
Worst case, use it for something to think about.
Yeah.
If you're new to the game and you're listening to the podcast and you're trying to figure out what you want.
Or if you're going to sell in 2026, use it to be prepared for the questions that you're going to get because you'll get them. But anyway, it's there. I figured out how to do it. We had a little hiccup last week, but now I understand how to do Google Sheets a little bit better. And he's forever teaching me. And so it's a downloadable now that you can just download and print off as many as you want.
Yes.
And so fill it off as many times as you want to for as many breeders as you want to. But anyway, I hope this helps you guys to have set your expectations reasonable. Expectations reasonable.
Here.
All right. Bye.
See y'all next week.
Thank you for joining us this week. Before you go, be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you can receive new episodes right when they are released. And they're released every week. Feel free to email us at poultrynerds@gmail.com to share your thoughts about the show. Until next time, Poultry Pals, keep clucking, keep learning, and keep it exciting. This is Carrie signing off from Poultry Nerds. Feathers up, everyone.